Dos Anjos is in big trouble.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Oh,
Alvarez
Jesus
is all
fucking
over
Christ.
him.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus. Oh, Jesus
He's
fucking
gonna
Christ.
win.
Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Jesus. This is fucking tremendous. Look at
Oh,
this.
he decked him again.
This is heart against fucking
Oh,
skill,
my
Joe Rogan.
goodness. Oh,
Nothing but
flying
fucking
knee.
heart.
Oh,
Nothing
no.
but fucking
He went
heart.
down like this.
Oh, Jesus.
Side control. Oh,
Yeah,
Alvarez
but he
is
doesn't
back
know
up.
where he is. He doesn't know
He
where he
doesn't.
is.
Alvarez is back
He
up. He
doesn't know
takes
where he
him
is.
down.
He doesn't know where he is. This is heart against fucking skill. I'm telling you, cocksuckers. I've been waiting for this fucking fight for 3 fucking months. This is what I'm talking about. This is what the fucking problem is.
Look at
with
he's
the
going to the
UFC.
body.
Every once in a while, you run into a brick fucking wall. This guy, Diaz, the fucking, these people are savages.
Oh!
Look at this shit. You gotta kill this motherfucker.
That's it.
It's fucking over. There's a new 155. Where's Conor McGregor now? Where's Conor McGregor now? This kid's Philadelphia. You dumb motherfuckers.
Eddie Alvarez.
This is crazy. I told you this was the fight of the fucking year. You fucking momos.
Holy
Stop
shit.
with your bullshit, Brock Lesnar and Mark fucking Hunt. That's
Holy
baby
shit.
stuff compared to this.
God damn
This
it,
is the
Eddie Alvarez.
UFC.
What up, everybody? It's Pulver. I'm here with Chris again. What up, dude?
How's it going?
Pretty good, other than it being hot as shit down here in San Diego lately. But we just got done watching the Wednesday night fight card, which was the
91, right?
Yeah.
UFC Fight Night 91.
Yeah, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, I believe. Which was a pretty good card. I actually liked it overall. There's a lot of wild fights on it, right?
Yeah, especially the main event, obviously, which we'll get into briefly.
The last couple fights on the card were fucking wild.
The fight with the Russian and the Polish guy.
Oh yeah, the classic heavyweight style fight.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And then what was the other one?
Oh, Tony Ferguson.
Oh yeah, because he wasn't even the main. So
Yeah, he was the co-main.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
right.
so yeah, we'll get into all that a bit later, but we're gonna start off like we normally do about this time. I'm referencing a podcast, but I don't remember which one. Oh wait, no, it's co-main event podcast, like we normally do about this time. Anyway, we are going to jump right into, I can't make podcast references while about to intro into our podcast segment. We are going to jump into, that's the 4th time I've said that. Can you tell I haven't had enough to drink yet? Our podcast picks for the week. You said you listened to, well, first we should start with, did you listen to Cheap Seats?
No, the one I listened to was...
Oh, the Beatdown.
I listened to Lineup MMA.
Oh, that's right.
I listened to Luke Thomas. I listened to Ariel. I listened to UFC Unfiltered. And I think that was it. I didn't know when we were actually doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that this fight was tonight.
Yep,
I thought
me
this
too.
fight was like a Friday or Saturday. That's why I didn't listen to Beatdown yet. I'll do that, though, because that was literally next on my list.
That actually works out because I'm going to talk about one of the...
Because that's the one that's like the post-fight one anyway, right?
Yep, Beatdown is the post-fight show, and
Okay.
then if you can hear that in the background, that's me pouring vodka in my... here's a quick sponsor for this segment. Pop Off Vodka. Go get you some. It's plastic bottle goodness. That's a fake sponsor. And our other fake sponsor for the podcast, whatever fucked up Kiwi Summer Red Bull this is, that's horrible. It tastes like medicine from when I was a kid.
It's like if NyQuil was sweeter.
Oh yeah, almost like, it's almost worse than NyQuil though. It's like weird, like allergy medicine you would get in a liquid form when you were sick. Or something terrible like that.
Yeah, see, I'm used to Benadryl just making me get knocked out.
It's kind of like that, yeah.
And I am having fresh, what is this, the French press coffee? With
That's right.
Yeah.
Some French press coffee. Shouts out to Sprouts for their, I don't know what, Italian roast or something probably. Anyway, back to what our point was. Well, you know what, we can jump right in. Oh yeah, you said you're going to listen to Cheap Seats later.
Yeah.
And that leads me perfectly into one of the shows I wanted to bring up this week. Was actually the Cheap Seats from today. Well, I just timestamped this. Oh, wait, we already timestamped it earlier. Today, Wednesday, the 13th, Cheap Seats basically was a breakdown for this card, or at least that's what they said it was. In reality, it was more them talking about whatever random bullshit Jordan Breen wanted to talk about. That's actually, there was a long segment about the movie Showgirls. TJ couldn't figure out the audio for like the first 20 minutes and everything was crazy, and it was a whole, or like the first 5 minutes, but it was a whole event. And then they eventually got into something that we are going to have to do on this show. Jordan Breen mentioned the movie Cyborg Soldier, starring classic MMA champion Rich Franklin. And oh boy, from everything I've seen, this thing looks fucking incredible. So
I'm looking at the IMDb thing right now.
Yeah,
I see.
It's got a 4.4 out of 10 on IMDb.
I see Bruce Greenwood. I'm like, this dude's already probably playing a cop.
That's right. Oh, and also Rich Franklin is dating Tiffany Amber Thiessen in this movie.
Okay.
So that's how you know it's top of the line. The synopsis for the movie: a cyborg escapes the facility where he was created. With the help of a local sheriff, he tries to run from the dangerous scientist that created him.
You know what this sounds like? Universal Soldier with Jean-Claude Van Damme from a long time ago.
Yeah, or any Terminator movie, kind of, or like a lot
Cyborg Soldier, not Terminator.
Right. It sounds great. So it's $3 on Amazon Video. Watch now, which means you might get it free on Prime.
And you know what? Have fun watching this sober. If you're a masochist, by the way, please do that. If you're a masochist,
get
because
fucked up.
It's an hour and 24 minutes, and if you're not sober, that will probably seem like only 30 minutes.
Well,
so
even better news, I would suggest not watching it yet, because the next week where there isn't fights, not counting this weekend, next weekend where there isn't fights, we are going to watch this movie and do a live commentary over it while making a drinking game out of it.
I was gonna say, are we gonna do like a live commentary where we're watching it and commentating while we're watching it, or are we doing a track where you encourage people to watch at the same time? Because I know
the second one, which is
okay, yeah,
but they're basically the same thing.
That's right. So basically, at this point, everyone start the
like
movie.
what we did for the UFC 100.
Oh, duh, that's right.
Yeah,
of course.
But I figure we would just do that on an off week when there isn't a bunch of MMA.
So
I don't know. I haven't looked at the calendar. I don't know when that's going to be. It's probably going to be the beginning of August. I think there's probably a week off.
Yeah, I'm already looking forward to that, because knowing me, I'm going to make a bunch of stupid voices for the dumb characters in the movie.
Oh, God, that's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
Don't look forward to that, anybody. But yeah, I think it's going to be hilarious. I've never seen it. I didn't even know it was a thing until Jordan Breen brought it up on this week's Cheap Seats, so I'm real excited about that. And yeah, okay, so that covers what I wanted to go over on Cheap Seats. I did, actually, why don't we talk about one of the podcasts you listened to? What was you said you listened to the UFC podcast this week?
Yeah, that one was really entertaining to me because I think I've mentioned before, I've been to a UFC convention before, the one in 2012 with Chael versus Anderson 2. And that was fun for me.
That's a good one to go to.
Because, I got to meet some fighters. I met Dominic Cruz because his line was short because he was hurt, and it was one of those things where everyone was waiting for GSP for 3-hour long line and all that stuff. And I met some random fighters on the floor like Jorgensen, some other lighter weight fighters.
Jorgensen's cool.
It was fun listening.
Shouts out to Jorgensen's Twitch stream. What's the name of it? Scotty Guns 125, I think, or something like that.
I think that sounds about right. But anyways, I enjoyed the UFC's Matt Serra's and Jim Norton's because it was entertaining, not only because they had Forrest Griffin on there describing what it was like being in a police academy and how being a cop is like, pre-fight, cage fighting career. But it was really fun listening to good old Don Fry. That guy is pretty entertaining.
Don Fry. Yeah. Sling Blade Don Fry. Women. Oh, everybody fights like a bunch of women nowadays.
I never really thought of myself as, like a Hall of Fame fighter. I thought I was just fighting because I was pretty good. But anyways,
I wore the tight shorts for the ladies.
Yeah. And
I don't know, what mine sounds way rapier than yours does.
But anyways, the thing that was cool about that conversation was Matt Serra is infatuated. I know a lot of people have seen this movie, Tombstone. Great classic Western film. Yeah. Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott, all that.
Great movie.
Bill Paxton, right?
It's like it's like the cowboy movie from the 90s.
It's fantastic.
It was 90s, right?
Yeah, it's one of those movies where I was a kid and you always have your drunk uncle put that on during Thanksgiving, and he just insists on doing it.
Yep, that sounds about right.
I pretty much always watch every Thanksgiving.
Your drunk uncle.
My Uncle Tony.
Actually,
yeah. He's.
By the way, it's amazing you have a drunk Uncle Tony, because that sounds like a fake name that you would sub in for your drunk uncle.
Yeah,
but his name.
Shouts out to Tony. Hope you're doing great.
That's
living out off the grid.
That's right.
Anyways,
Shouts out to Tony.
anyways, Matt Serra. There's a scene in the movie where Wyatt Earp, played by Kurt Russell, approaches Billy Bob Thornton's character, and he slaps the shit out of him when they're playing poker, because Billy Bob's character is just not playing by the rules.
Yep.
And basically, he kind of has a little Mexican standoff with him, saying he's just like, "What are you just gonna stand there and bleed? Smoke that skin wagon," or something like that, right?
Oh, right.
And what Matt Serra is just like, "Oh, we're just gonna stand there and bleed? Jerk that skin wagon. Can you say that, Don Fry? Could you go ahead and say that for the crowd?" You know what I mean? And he's like, "Yeah. Jerk that skin wagon." I just laughing the whole time, like, God damn it, they're not saying it right, but this makes it way funnier.
Way creepier,
Yeah.
also.
Jerk that skin wagon.
Also, I love that your Matt Serra impression is just 100% a Dice Clay impression.
Yeah, or...
Like, oh, but
yeah.
Mary had a little lamb.
Yeah. I can't really do Matt Serra. You know, I kind of sound like Mort Goldman from Family Guy. Oh, God.
Hickory dickory dock.
Yeah. It's like Mort Goldman plus fucking Andrew Dice Clay. I can't tell what the fuck I'm doing. But anyways, that's what I really enjoyed about it.
And they did that live on Fight Pass, right?
Yeah, it was cool, man. They were
I think you can still watch that on Fight Pass.
Yeah, they were
right
taking
now.
live, because that's what they were saying. I remember Jim Norton was just like, "Oh, how the fuck are we gonna actually make this entertaining when it's just a bunch of us sitting at a table, we're just looking at people paying, just asking questions?" But
well, because Jim Norton's used to being on stage, like forced to be funny, so it's weird for him to just sit there and talk.
yeah, he's like, being up here is like a one night stand in Connecticut. No one's there, and it's just awkward or some shit like that. I don't know. It was
about right.
But that was the one that I listened to. I listened to briefly, the MMA Hour.
I had
a lot. All I'll say is definitely listen to Eddie Alvarez's bit. Very entertaining.
Eddie Alvarez is always great.
I'll kind of have a spoiler about it. Basically, his main point is he doesn't appreciate how Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor can just kind of just flaunt their name and just promote their that's not really a super fight. Let's call it a money fight, right? He just doesn't like the fact that they haven't beaten established names at 155 and they're getting paid more than he is. Right. I get it though. It's a business though.
And to be fair to Eddie Alvarez, like that motherfucker's put more time in the game than just about anybody.
Yeah.
He fought in Bodog, for Christ's sake. Which is, if you fought in Bodog, you're a bad motherfucker. You've been around forever. Bodog's one of those weird organizations. I think he had the Bodog belt for a while, actually. I mean, he's coming off of Bellator. He's not getting paid what he's worth, considering he's fought fucking some of the toughest dudes in the lightweight division.
Yeah, because his main emphasis basically in the whole his whole segment was that one of his bits was, he said it's okay to be afraid in fighting. You just gotta, just not embrace your fear, but you just kind of have to. It makes you more human, right? All that stuff. He was talking about how mixed martial artists deserve to be the number one paid athletes in the United States, or just based on what they go through. Because I get it. You risk getting your retina detached or snapping your arm off.
The problem is it's all based on how many people watch. But
exactly.
In theory, I 100% agree.
Yeah. Either way, but I'm just going to briefly touch on that. Those are the ones that I enjoyed the most. I know I got some more to listen to this week, but what about you, Chris? What did you...
So here's an interesting one this week. I've talked about this show in the past. It is the... it's not the Tommy Toehold show. It's Bushido Talk, which is the show that Tommy Toehold does with John Hackelman, Chuck Liddell's striking coach, and with Naya Rodriguez. And I like that show. The show's a lot of fun. Normally, Naya is not terrible. But this week, she said some real dumb shit that I was kind of concerned with. She just said some really dumb shit. Alright, we're back. Sorry, I just found out I was almost running out of space on my computer, so I want to make sure I didn't fuck that up since I'm drinking. Oh yeah, we've already shouted out the terrible, horrible drink I'm having. Fuck you, Red Bull Kiwi. Back to Bushido Talk. Normally Naya's really good, but she said some fucking... She's fairly new to MMA, like about as new as you are to it. She hasn't been following forever. And she likes to be contradictory. Like, that's her move. She's just, if there's a go-to stance that she was going to take, it would be the opposite of what everyone else is taking.
I see.
That's just how she is. So she said two things she said a couple things during that show that I just could not get past. She said, so they were talking about UFC 200, going over it, and she mentioned the Brock fight. And she said, I don't know why everybody's shitting on Brock. I thought he had a great performance. It's like, yeah, all he did was get top position, but that's what he does, and that's what he could do. And, like, I don't know what you expected, but, like, he fought his ass off, and he was able to maintain top position. He didn't get rocked by Mark Hunt, who's a legend. And then, a couple, like, maybe 20 minutes later in the podcast, she goes on to shit all over DC for laying on Anderson for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, well, I just, people are there to see you fight, and if you're not going to fight, I don't know why you're there. Like, you just... And I was like, that's the same. They did the same thing. It was a very similar game plan.
Yeah, it's called doing what you have to do to win the fight.
But she did that because the popular opinion is...
That's what I'm saying. I saw that all
she
over the
clearly
internet.
just did the opposite of what everybody's saying. But it was just... It bothered the shit out of me. And I was like, all right, whatever. She just probably didn't think that through. That's fine. But then she went on to talk about the Miesha Tate... the... Claudia Gadelha Joanna fight, and she was like, I really like she's like, I was really upset. Sorry, I mixed it up. She's like, I was really upset about the way Claudia came out in that fight. She clearly just doesn't have the tank. Like, she's one of these one-dimensional fighters that, like, they're good at the beginning, and they have some good striking, but, like, and they have some okay wrestling, but, like, once they gas, she's just, like, can't hang. I don't see her hanging at the top of the division, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes on to talk about how Amanda Nunes is a perfectly well-rounded fighter and is going to hold on to the belt for a very long time. I don't see anyone taking out Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes is by far one of the best people in the division. I don't even think it's questionable. She's not one of these one-dimensional fighters like Holly Holm or Ronda Rousey.
Oh my.
It's like, well, those are, by the way, evidently you've never seen Amanda Nunes fight after a round and a half, because she's exactly Claudia Gadelha with that aspect. It was just a combination of, like, exact opposites within, like, 20-minute spans that I was like, what is going on? I literally had to rip my headphones out at a certain point. I was like, I just can't keep doing this to myself. So... Negative shouts out to Nia Rodriguez. Normally you're great. You're very entertaining. I like all your jokes that you pre-write. But Jesus goddamn Christ, please, with the fight, just keep consistent. I get that you have to be all controversial, but just keep consistent. Let's see. So let's jump into another one you were listening to. Oh, you said Luke Thomas was one that you mentioned, right?
That's the last one I'll cover over.
That's one that I'm still wanting to get to, but he's one of my favorite shows. All I'll say is...
what was he was talking about mostly, I think I maybe got through about a quarter or halfway through it, because I was kind of just on a time crunch, but he went over the sale of the UFC to, what's the group called? WME. I can't remember exactly who the ownership group is involved, but it sold on Monday, 2 days ago, for $4.1 billion, if I'm not mistaken, which is the highest ever in all of sports in general. I think the one behind that was like they were talking about the Clippers purchase. It's like one of the higher ones besides that. Basically was forced to sell that, but yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah. Well, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But anyways, he basically talked about that, what it means for Tita stepping down as the CEO. I think it just means day to day. He's just not really involved as much.
Yeah.
Dana White's still pretty much the same exact role as before. He was talking about how he I know Ariel was praising them for just how they helped save the UFC and mixed martial arts.
Absolutely, they did.
I think Thomas kind of agreed on that point, and it's definitely a fact of the matter. I agree with that as well. Thomas went on to talk about the state of the bantamweight division and the women's division. He's enraged. Not enraged, but he's dissatisfied with the women's... I'll leave it at... He's dissatisfied with the state of it. He wants to see a Ronda Rousey reign again. That's what he wants to see that. He wants
to see her come back and go for it, right?
Yeah, that's what he really... But he wanted to see Holm rematch Tate because that was such a good fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he was saying he doesn't think Nunes has what it takes to even defend once.
I think kind of agree with that because I think
that's what he just wants to see. He just hates when the belt flip flops. I mean, I get it from.
It's because the way they've been matchmaking that division is really fucking all over the place right now.
Yeah, but that was his main gripe that he's going into. I know, unfortunately, in the beginning episode, he was having some audio problems. But
yeah. Oh, also, this is the live chat UFC 200 Tough 23 finale, and UFC Fight Night or whatever it was. Episode of the Luke Thomas show, or I guess it's promotional malpractice is technically the name.
And then he also went on. He says, "Feel the pain, needs to die." But I think that's just him kind of in a little pessimistic mood. I get it. I'd be frustrated. So he just kind of...
He always hates that song.
Yeah.
I want the remix to Feel the Pain back. That was fucking hilarious.
I mean, I need to finish more of that, because to be fair, when I was listening to it, I was kind of driving, I was kind of phasing in and out and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll just go back and kind of actually get into... I'll probably fast forward and go to his actual post-200 analysis, because I really want to hear what he had to say about some of those major fights and stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one that I'm excited to go through and listen to. It's on my list of stuff to get to tomorrow or the day after. I haven't been at my pad a bunch lately, so I haven't been able to listen to as much stuff. Let's see, what are some other ones that oh, you know what? 2 good shows that I'll combine into one pick, is the number 821 and 822 of the Joe Rogan Experience. 821 is a fight companion with just Joe Rogan and Joey Diaz for the Eddie Alvarez Fight Night card. It's fucking amazing. They're like, Joey's popping edibles and shit's going wild. And if you don't even listen to the whole episode, go watch the video of Joey Diaz watching and Joe Rogan watching the Eddie Alvarez fight. It's fucking the best shit ever. Joey Diaz goes off, because Joey Diaz always likes underground, like just scrappy motherfuckers. And isn't Eddie Alvarez from Jersey?
He's from Philly.
So same thing. East Coast,
he trains. He trains with Frankie Edgar.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say with Mark Henry and those dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Joey Diaz just goes fucking wild, and it's incredible. Actually, you know what? On the break, me and Chris will watch that real quick, and we'll talk about it when we come back, because it's fucking hilarious. But that was a great episode. They just basically watched the card. It was a pretty fast-paced card. It was a lot of fun. They get way off topic because it's Fight Companion. It's hard not to get off topic on that kind of show. Me and Chris got way off topic for our UFC 100 one. We're talking about video games at a certain point for a while.
Yeah, I don't even remember
all over the place. Well, we were also very drunk, to be fair. And then Joe Rogan on number 822 on the 11th, which is Monday, I believe, did a podcast with Chael Sonnen, where they talk a ton about all of the John Jones stuff. Chael Sonnen and Joe confirmed that it was estrogen blockers. Talk a lot about it. There's like a good 20-30 minute segment of them talking about, because Chael done all that shit.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm not gonna call it an excuse, because I don't know what he did it for. I thought he said it had something to do with like him and his wife, or his wife couldn't get pregnant. Didn't it have something to do with that? I don't know what his. Doesn't he have
kids though?
See, I don't know what it was. That's the only thing I remember I read briefly. I don't know. Yeah. That's his business, so I don't, you know.
Well, so normally, why estrogen blockers are banned is because you normally take them after doing steroids to basically kick your balls back into gear.
I see, yeah.
So your balls aren't, like, stop being shut down, and they basically kick back, and they start producing more testosterone. So when you stop producing so much estrogen, your body starts to catch back up. This is my very basic knowledge of it after hearing Joe and Chael talk about it. It's just a really interesting podcast. They also go into something we're going to cover very, very briefly at the end of this episode, which is Chael Sonnen now has... So Chael Sonnen's been working with Flow Combat, which is Jeremy Botter's site. Or I guess it's not his site, but he's like the head editor right now. And they are going to do a Chael Sonnen Submission Underground this weekend, which they have... Basically, they're lining up a bunch of MMA guys and big-name jiu-jitsu guys to compete under Eddie Bravo rules. He's basically, Chael said on the podcast, like, hey, it's pretty well known now, Eddie Bravo rules are the shit, and we should just start treating it like how we treat the unified MMA rules, and just do that shit, and just start a bunch of leagues like that. So that's what Chael wants to do, and he has a bunch of guys on there. We'll talk about it later. But one thing I did want to bring up is, so the problem with Flow Combat is it's a $15 a month subscription to see any of their shit. So, like, any of their videos, or they say they do fighter docs, they stream live shows and stuff. So, I may actually this weekend subscribe to that just for a month, just to watch this the Chael stuff this weekend, and just kind of check out the site, see how it is. Because I don't know about you, I haven't heard anybody talking about it at all.
No, I've heard of or I should say I've read the term flow combat sports, but yeah.
They do some good articles and stuff. Jeremy Bonner's been a monster.
I mean, I know the content's probably great, but damn, dude, 15 a month? I mean, I'm not going to talk shit, but...
That's a lot. I agree. That's why I want to do it for 1 month and see, like, if they have a crazy amount of content and they have, like, 1 billion dope docs they're doing and they're cranking out, like, one a week, that might be super worth it. Like, four docs a month on fighters, plus, like, if they do a card or 2 a month, that's pretty dope. So, I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see what it is and what all content they actually have currently. So, I may check that out this weekend. But Chael and Joe just get into weird shit. They talked about how great Joey Diaz is. They talked about how Joey Diaz was on Chael Sonnen's podcast.
Yeah, that was the one that I listened to with his story about
where he's robbing
his trunk.
Lit the hooker's wig on fire.
Yeah, at the cemetery. And
like, sometimes you come across a machine gun.
Exactly. Yeah.
Chael's like, wait, no, that's not. People don't just come across machine guns, Joey.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, so they talk about all that stuff. It was a really fun episode of Joe Rogan podcast, so I definitely recommend checking that out. As well as the Joey Diaz, Joe Rogan watched the Eddie Alvarez fight, RDA fight. Definitely check all that out. Let's see, what's some other stuff you listened to this week? I know you listed them off at the beginning. I can't remember what else they were.
I think I said I did UFC Unfiltered. I did MMA Hour. I did part of Lineup MMA.
Oh, yeah. How'd you like Lineup MMA?
Yeah, that's right. That's the one with Ben Askren. Was it Joe Warren and
Sean Wheelock?
Sean Wheelock, yeah. I liked that. I thought that was really well done.
Did you ever hear it back when it was Big John McCarthy and Sean Wheelock?
No, because I remember. I know you mentioned that Big John. I know he has his own podcast currently.
He does.
Was that it, or was that when it was?
So it used to be that. And
okay, that's
Big
what
John
you're talking about. That's okay.
It.
My bad. That's what you're talking about. Yeah, that's the only time I've heard is when you mentioned that. I didn't know what it was now. I probably just lapsed because I thought when you mentioned Big John's name, I thought he had his own. But
he used to with Sean Wheelock, and then Big John basically stepped away so that because he was getting flack from commissions, and he's gone so much that it was hard to fit it into the schedule along with everything else. So basically, he just let Sean Wheelock take the podcast on, and Big John's actually an executive producer and weighs in every once in a while on the show and stuff. But I
think this episode that they had available was the UFC 200 preview.
Yep.
But what was interesting was them talking about just like how the gate works for pay-per-view buys and everything. They're comparing it to like Bellator's biggest gate, I think Strikeforce's biggest gate,
which is weird because Bellator is all cable.
Yeah,
they don't do pay-per-views.
Yeah,
so it's weird.
That's what I thought.
Those numbers.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's an interesting case though that like.
I think they were talking about how Titan might be fading away. They were naming off some other of the...
Yeah, Titan, if I remember right, the Titan owner has been getting into a lot of shit lately. Titan and WSOF are constantly...
That's it. Yeah. That was the other one. World Series of Fighting. They're like, oh, that's kind of...
Both of those, everyone keeps speculating, like, when are they going to finally die?
Is World Series of Fighting the one that they show on NBC Sports? I swear those... Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah, they have the circle cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. World Series of Fighting is a weird show. They have some really good talent, like Gaethje and a couple of those guys, but it's a weird show. The fact that Ali Abdelaziz was... Wait, is that the right guy? No, that's not the right guy. Is it the right guy? I know that's Frankie Edgar's manager, but I don't think he's the guy. Is he the guy that was... Fuck. I know one of the guys, not Ray Sefo, but the other guy, I think it was Ali, were both in charge of the show. But yeah, it's probably Ali. That
is Edgar's manager.
Well, I know definitely is Edgar's manager. But the problem is the guy that was co-whatever with Ray Sefo is also a manager, and he was putting people on the card. So, like, you can't be an owner of the fucking show and be a manager of some of the fighters on the show. That's a huge conflict of interest. So he stepped down and shit, and then was having a bunch of tax problems, I believe, Edmund style. Speaking of which, I haven't heard much from Edmund. Edmund's I meant specifically on Twitter, fake Edmund.
Oh yeah, because I was going to really. I imagine that guy's in trouble, but who knows?
Well, yeah, I would assume so. Considering he's just constantly fucking up.
Yeah. What was it? I was gonna say, I know. Speaking of fighters managers, the one part of MMAR I briefly listened to because, of course, knowing Ariel, he always has a bunch of people on there.
Yeah,
it was John Jones. John Jones's manager,
Malkikawa.
Yeah, Malkikawa. That's his name.
Go to thesoundofviolence.com/sadmalky to see a great meme.
That's right. But yeah, he had some interesting things to say. Shit, see, I'm kind of phasing in and out because I kind of just crammed a bunch of different podcasts all at once today, within like an hour and a half. So
trust me, that's how listening to podcasts go.
I'll have to go back and re-listen to some of those. But see what I mean? I'm trying to remember. He said something really interesting. But now it's just fading in and out.
Well, you know what? We'll grab it next week because I'm going to actually take a listen to that show on Friday. I normally listen to that show on Fridays in the mornings. I don't know why. It's just a weird ritual I have, I guess. Starbucks and MMA hour on Fridays. So good way to start the day. So, we will check into that. I think that's most. Any other shows you want to bring up before we wrap
no,
that's
it.
Segment?
All I'm saying right now is Rich Franklin's staring like he wants to kill me right now. So
that's right. I have the IMDb up for Cyborg Soldier, and Rich Franklin's been holding us hostage with a gun for the last 20 minutes. So we are going to jump right into our next segment. We're going to talk about UFC 200, and then we're going to talk briefly here about the Fight Night 91 card that we just watched. So we'll be right back. Oh, also we're gonna take a look at that Joe Rogan clip of them watching the Eddie Alvarez fight because it's hilarious. So we'll be back in just a second, bitches.
You ever seen the movie Tombstone? Oh yeah. Did you ever see Tombstone?
Yeah,
every time I'm looking, I feel like you remember when Kurt Russell went up to the? It was Billy. What was it? Billy Bob Thornton. Billy Bob Thornton. You know the part I'm talking about. I would love for you to say this line. And he goes up, and Billy Bob's being a bully, and he goes up, and he smacks him, and then he smacks his face. He smacks Billy Bob's face, and then he goes to, and he's about to reach for the gun, and he goes. And I would love for you to say this line. Go ahead, jerk that smoke wagon, see what happens. Could you just say jerk that smoke wagon, see what happens? Please? Don't, I'm not, listen, it's not a weird thing. Could you please, for me and Eddie Tombstone, who wants to hear him say that line from Tombstone? Jerk that, I can't do it. I have a New York accent.
You're sitting a little closer.
No, not jerk, no, listen. He's the freak. I mean, no, not in a bad way.
I'm not going outside to get done.
Way. The smoke wagon's a gun. I can't look at you now.
You made it weird.
Hold on, before we continue this interview, fucking anxiety.
Go ahead. Jerk that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Oh shit, I didn't hear it. I was talking. One more time. Please, one more time.
Oh, you missed it, man.
We missed it.
Ah, shit,
You
man.
ruined it.
Is this gonna be on Fight Pass? Can I watch that?
Yeah, he did a good job.
I never shut up that I missed the one line that I begged him to say.
Yeah, you did miss the one line. You did do it.
Son of a bitch. All right, go back to picking on Jimmy, please.
All right, we're back. First off, we're going to jump right into, we just watched Joey Diaz and the end of the RDA Eddie fight again. How fucking ridiculous was that shit?
That was awesome.
You could tell Joey Diaz had way too many, stars of death, cocksucker. Those things are 500 milligrams a piece, by the way.
I think you showed me a picture of those. Aren't they kind of like a...
They're like a red fucking jelly star, like a gummy.
Yeah.
Ugh, those 500 milligrams. You shouldn't even eat like a quarter of that thing unless you're like just deep as fuck in the weed game. But man, how fucking hype Joey Diaz basically had a panic attack on camera.
Yeah, I don't know how many times. Jesus fucking Christ!
It's all hot, Joe Rogan. It's all hot.
You don't mess with fucking Philadelphia.
Fucking goddamn pizza maker. He's a fucking Jersey pizza maker. Joey Diaz just lost his shit during that. Joe Rogan. Oh man, everything about it was just the best. I highly recommend even if you don't go listen to the podcast, you go over and at least watch that clip on YouTube. It's if you go to the Powerful JRE YouTube, or if you just Google Joey Diaz RDA, it'll come right up at the top result. But man, it's just it's amazing. Everything about it was just the best. And they actually started talking a bit about who should be up next for Eddie, and that got us talking about who we like, especially after Tony just fighting And you mentioned they should set up Tony and
I know it's important to do a business aspect, and I get it. It's money talks. I'm more of a traditionalist when it comes to like seedings and rankings, whether it's like March Madness but what I would do is you do Khabib and RDA 2, and then I would do Ferguson versus Nate Diaz. I think that'd be fun.
That's be
just me.
Dope. The problem is Ferguson's coming off a win over an unranked guy that he almost lost like 14 times.
Yeah, and that's where you kind of throw some problems there.
I love the idea of a Khabib RDA rematch, though. That would be fantastic. I've been wanting to see that fight since it happened, especially since RDA's gone crazy numbers on his takedown defense since then. I think he was like 11 for 12 before the Eddie fight since on takedown since the Khabib fight. It's fucking crazy. Defense and offense. Just been wild. So I'd really like to see that fight. And then I think what they're going to do is if Nate gets another win, they got to set up Nate and Eddie. Mostly because I think it'd just be the wildest fucking fight in all of time. Because both those dudes just swing for the fences. And even if Eddie does try to wrestle Nate has nasty jiu-jitsu. Especially with triangles off his back. So I think that would just be a wild, scrappy fight the entire time. I hope they set it up. That's if Nate gets the win over Conor. But yeah, I love any Tony Ferguson fight. I want to see Tony and Chiesa again, honestly. Like, if Chiesa comes back healthy, I'd like to see them set that match up again. It still moves Chiesa up the rankings, but if Tony would have had a flawless performance tonight, I would say, yeah, give him a title shot. But just the fact that he got clipped so bad so many times, I think you can't give him a title shot off that performance.
Yeah, I agree, because it kind of did look like he was... it looked like at first he was in trouble, per se, but,
yeah, and we'll talk about all that more once we go over that card. But, man, that fight was... There's a couple fucking wild fights tonight. Alright, so actually, why don't we jump right into... real quickly, we'll go over UFC 200. To be fair, Chris and I were both just drinking during this, and I was on an edible and smoking blunts, and I was playing beer pong. It was a whole thing. So I didn't pay a shitload of attention. I still am in the process of going back and going through them. But we'll slowly go through some of the more notable ones on here. Let's see. So, one thing I also wanted to mention is I've been catching up on, I forgot our new segment, the Twitch video of the week. And that ties right into this because I've been watching Jessamyn Duke and Shayna Baszler play the UFC game and watch UFC 200 as I've been watching it. Just because I wanted to go back and watch the fights. And it's fucking hilarious. They also mentioned on there that Ronda had knee surgery just, I think, a week or two ago. So she has 6 to 9 months of recovery time, and that probably doesn't even include a training camp or anything. So we're probably looking at like
12 months, right?
We're probably looking at Memorial, like the big International Fight Week weekend next year is when we'll see her. I would assume, unless like something crazy happens, like in like April, May of next year, maybe March, probably not. So that should be interesting. That's one thing that's kind of cool about their streams is since they're both really good friends with Ronda, they'll just casually drop shit like that. And you're like, that's fucking super newsworthy, and most places would write an article on that if they heard about it. So their streams are always real interesting, and it's kind of hilarious because they don't during the fights play the game. They just basically sit there and watch the fights and talk shit with the chat. But between rounds or between fights, they do matchups of whoever the next fight is. So, and they're both fucking garbage at the game. They just spam high kicks and punches. So it's just constant knockouts and no ground game. It's really goofy, but it's a lot of fun, especially as just like background if you want like a background commentary for fights. And we'll go ahead and start jumping into this card, but I did want to give that a shout out as our Twitch stream of the week. Alright, so real quick, Jim Miller talking to Origomi. Jim Miller Mollywop talking to Origomi. Man, I don't have much else to say about that other than Jim Miller just styled on him from what I remember.
Just this thing about that one, I missed this fight, and I missed part of... I only saw the last of the Gegard was the next fight because I was on my...
fight was crazy.
Yeah, but with the Jim Miller thing, I remember there's a note I read that Him and Brock Lesnar are the only fighters to fight on 100 and 200.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep. Yeah, that's because Jim O was on the early prelims of 100 along with John Jones and a couple other people. So yeah, not much to say about that fight other than, man, I love Gomi, but I don't want to see Gomi anymore. I'd like to see Gomi doing like maybe submission tournaments or something, but not fighting. It's rough to watch. It's starting to get to like Sakuraba levels. Not quite, but it's starting to get uncomfortable. Gegard Mousasi, Thiago Santos. This was a crazy fucking fight. Gegard Mousasi clipped him about, I want to say, halfway through the round or so. Maybe it was earlier than that. And then, man, he just kept wobbling him back and forth. And then Gegard had him on the ground, was piecing him up. Thiago Santos fought back to his feet, and right as he got up, Gegard just planted one on his chin and put him clean out. It was super nasty. He followed up with a couple, but man, that strike he hit when the guy was standing up, I had turned away for half a second, and man, holy shit, those replays are real rough.
Yeah, that's the one I caught the end of, was just him finishing Santos, and yeah, that looked pretty brutal.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. All right, so next up, a fight that I did not think this would go this way at all.
Neither did I.
Was the Joe Lozon Diego Sanchez fight. Holy shit, did Joe Lozon look good.
Yeah, he put on a clinic with his stand-up and everything.
Jesus,
That was good.
it's so hard to hurt Diego and then be able to keep that fucking hurt on him.
And I think that was the first time Sanchez was ever actually finished.
Yeah, at least for sure by strikes. I'm not sure. I don't think he's ever been subbed either. But man, Joe Lozon just came out on fucking fire and just threw death at Diego's head the whole time. And he got the stoppage in the first round at like a minute and a half in. Jesus, just a wild fight. So I missed the first half of the Sage fight.
I'll say this. I thought, okay, I would have given the fight to the new guy who was supposed to be the can, right?
Enrique Marin.
I would have given it to him split decision. That's just me, because he totally had control on the ground for, in my opinion, at least most of 2 rounds of 3. Because at one point, I know the second round, Marin just absolutely dominated on the ground, just with time of just got ground control. He almost submitted Sage. Sage did have an amazing armbar escape. That was fantastic. I think
fantastic in that he got out of it. He did roll the wrong way, but
yeah, in a way though, the way he had it locked in almost like any other person.
It was really nasty.
It was kind of crazy.
You can't question that dude's heart or like willingness to fucking put himself in trouble anymore.
I mean, I get why they gave it to Sage, but I at least would have had like unanimous is wrong. Should have been split.
So I actually rewatched this fight, and I actually agree with the decision. Okay. I didn't in person, but then again, I didn't. I only saw the end of the second and then the last couple bit, or the last bit. But Sage did have a ton of top control in the second and third, and he was doing pretty good on the feet. It was a weird fight. It was pretty close, but I did see Sage.
Maybe that's because I was just phasing in and out of playing beer pong, and every time I looked up at the screen, I saw.
That's the problem I kept having too. So that's how a lot of these are going to go. That's why we're quickly covering this card, and we'll go into details on any ones that we want to cover a bit further later on. Some other ones I want to just touch on quickly. TJ looked great against Rafael Assunção. That's basically how I thought that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I thought it was going to go. And
I wish it was a 5-rounder, but it was great. It was, essentially exactly how I thought it was going to go. Ironically, same with Kelvin Gastelum and Johnny Hendricks.
Yep.
I made decent money on Kelvin Gastelum in that fight because he was a decent sized underdog in comparison. And Kelvin Gastelum's been showing the fuck up lately. Ever since he got a good nutritionist. He's been great. He started working with George Lockhart, and he's been fantastic after that. Johnny Hendricks, meanwhile, missed weight and looked like shit in this fight.
Yeah,
he looked
pretty bad.
He looked pretty terrible. He had a couple good moments with his strikes and his takedowns, but not much. Kelvin Gastelum overall was just able to land almost everything he was throwing. He's pretty wild. We'll quickly cover Juliana Pena, Kat Zingano. Again, went exactly like I thought. Kat did get some good top control. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I actually completely missed most of this fight, unfortunately.
I was actually
Every time I'd look, Pena pretty much was just all over her, at least on the ground.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like it was a wrestling match. You know?
Yeah, there was a lot of that. I actually was playing beer pong during this, but I did go back and watch it recently. And yeah, Pena basically was able to just outgas her and get top control more often. Kat started out really strong, got the takedown, and was able to get a lot of top control time in on Pena, but eventually Pena just started winning those takedown exchanges and always ending up on top and kind of just riding out Cat. Got the decision. I didn't realize that every fight went to decision except for Kane and the first 3.
Yeah. That's
Oh, and I guess the main event, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't realize that it was just that wild. Like, I didn't realize there was that many decisions. Then again, like I said, we're playing beer pong. So quickly, Cain Velasquez looked fantastic against Travis Brown. He ate like one real ugly shot, but holy shit,
did Cain
look
kick,
good.
Right? Yeah, some kick.
Either that or straight punch. I don't remember. It was something like that. But I do know Cain Velasquez threw 2 spinning heel kicks in that fight.
Yeah, that looked kind of cool.
It's fucking wild. He landed one of them too.
But yeah, C-level Kane is back.
That's right. Or I would say probably, yeah.
I'm just being
Kane,
a dick.
Kane
If
who
Cain
was
Velasquez
trained and
is
not
back,
gassed. Yeah.
He looked great, though.
Yep, I agree. And you know what? We'll cover the rest of this card the next time we come on, because that's about as far as I've seen recently. And that was about the time I started getting pretty drunk, so I need to rewatch those other ones.
I mean, I'll just comment real quick if you don't mind. Just
go for it.
I watched all of Aldo Edgar. Edgar looked really strong, at least in the first 2 rounds. He was kind of controlling his pace. But man, dude, once that 3rd round started, Aldo just looked like just prime Jose Aldo, just with the leg kicks just destroying.
Well, he only threw, I heard, like about 1 leg kick that whole fight.
Maybe that was just the 3rd round.
I think it was just a lot of really strong straight punches.
What it was is though his
takedown defense?
Yeah, his takedown defense was on point. It was absolutely fantastic. His striking looked great. He was efficient with his movement, keeping the pace. He made Edgar look pretty stationary the whole time. I know Edgar is kind of
crazy because Frankie's movement's gone off the charts lately. So,
but either way, just shortly, Aldo looked fantastic. Can't wait to see him hopefully fight McGregor.
Yeah.
I'm just praying at this point because who knows what's going to happen.
Or Dom, for that matter.
Yeah, speaking of which, we'll probably maybe mention that. But Dominic,
now's a good time to jump in.
You know what? Dominic Cruz apparently wants to... I mean, and I don't blame him because the man needs to be paid. He wants to go up weight, and he's willing to fight Jose Aldo for the interim belt, I guess he was calling it. He's saying that's if McGregor gets hurt. Or he said if Aldo gets hurt, he's willing to fight McGregor for the belt.
Right.
For the actual belt. Which would be... Both those fights are very intriguing either way. But yeah, that's Dominic's plans. I know some people will play devil's advocate and say, oh, he's ducking Dillashaw. But then again, I really wouldn't call ducking Dillashaw wanted to fight Jose Aldo and McGregor. So there's that.
That's a decent
Well, we'll
point.
leave it at that. I'm pretty sure you watched DC and Silva, but then again, this one went exactly how pretty much everyone thought it would. Well, maybe not everyone thought it would.
I thought DC get the finish by ground and pound in the second.
Yeah.
But
it
DC basically just didn't try and pass half guard, and Anderson was really good at locking down half guard.
Yeah, Anderson's fantastic on his back, too, with his defense.
He's really good. So that fight was just basically... I hate that everybody gave DC so much shit for
there was that
fight.
one
That's
moment,
the way you fight Anderson Silva.
Yeah, there was that one moment, too, where, of course, the crowd wanted Silva to win. They were like, oh, when he looked like he actually kind of hurt DC with that body kick. Yeah. And I remember, too, I think it was... On the MMA Hour, this one, I believe DC was on there. Yeah, he talked about, I think RL asked him, were you kind of frightened at any point? He's like, no, but I was definitely cautious. That's why I kind of immediately clinched him. He's like, that hurt like hell. Yeah. Getting hit in the, I don't know, he got the wind knocked out or something. It definitely was in pain, but then again, Silva's fantastic, at kicking.
Yeah, well, Demetrius Johnson always says the shots that hurt worse are body shots. You guys just don't realize how good fighters are, just not making poker facing it. Because he says body shots are by far the worst, which is crazy. I never would have thought that, although I get it. But yeah, that fight, I mean, that's how you fight Anderson Silva. It's classic Chael Sonnen 101.
Yep.
I mean, it's brilliant by Daniel Cormier. I would have liked to see him try to work for Mount more often, but I understand that you don't really do that shit against Anderson.
And speaking of that, that's with the next fight as well. Brock Lesnar's game plan against a fantastic striker.
That I'm not surprised at all about. Yeah. Although I did yell at you, I think last week, how the fuck are these fat fucks going to go 3 rounds? I think I did yell that at you last week, which they 100% did. You asked me, you're like, what do you think about maybe betting the decision, like it goes distance? Because that's a crazy number. I was like, there's no way these fat fucks make it 3 rounds.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, to be fair, I kind of was, I think a lot of people, it's really Hunt by round 1 knockout.
Well, I figured
we didn't know.
I figured either be Hunt by round 1 or Brock would actually try to throw enough of those baby punches that he throws, like where he just tenses his whole body up and spazzes his arm down.
Yeah.
fucking Shane Carlin style.
I just realized I saw someone I know. I'm pretty sure he's Lesnar. Obviously, it's his. I don't think he has a real nickname, but what did someone call him? The Vanilla Gorilla. I thought that shit was hilarious.
Well, he keeps calling himself White Boy, so maybe that should be his new nickname.
Yeah, just Jack.
Just because I'm a white boy, Jack White Boy.
Yeah,
he's been saying that shit so much lately. From a white boy to all you. What did he say at the end of that fight? Let's all get along or some gay shit?
Something probably corny to that effect.
Yep. And then this next fight I watched all of, and I was fucking super surprised.
So was I.
Amanda Nunes, Miesha Tate. I thought Miesha Tate would be able to weather the storm, but holy shit did Amanda Nunes put it on her.
Yeah, see, that just reminds me, I can't imagine if when Holm had fought Tate, if she actually would try to just throw heat for the first round, what that would look like. But that's not the kind of fighter Holm is. It's in effect. I mean, so yeah, who knows? But either way, yeah, I was surprised. This was interesting. I know supposedly there was that instance. Supposedly all week Tate was struggling to make weight. Apparently,
yeah, there's rumors of that she did have to strip down at weigh-ins and barely made it, like right at the last minute.
Yeah, I think it was 134.5 she made. And
yeah,
that's basically with that towel. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. That whole division's kind of insane now. The state of the women's bantamweight. I mean, since Ronda's out, what would you do if? I mean, obviously we're barring the Holm versus Shevchenko fight. Is it Holm versus Nunes? Is that the fight to make?
I think you set that up. Assuming Holm gets a big win, or even a win over Shevchenko, I think you set up Holm Nunes. I think Holm myrtleizes Nunes in 5 rounds because she's going to stay on the outside for the first 2, and Nunes is going to gas trying to get takedowns. And then I think you do Miesha Holm 2, and
that'd be a good fight, yeah.
Set up that rematch for the title again. Miesha will have to fight somebody in the meantime.
Yeah,
maybe Juliana Payne. Oh, they're teammates though. They probably.
Oh yeah, they are teammates.
Yeah, they said they don't want to fight unless it's for the belt. So I don't know. I need to look at that division. I don't know who else is up there at the top. I'm trying to think about who else got a big win recently. Yeah, Sarah McMahon, Miesha Tate again, maybe. Although I think that was pretty unanimous last time. Actually, no, wait. Who? Oh God, who was it? Somebody just fought that beat Miesha Tate recently. Ugh, I can't remember. I can't remember.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll look into it. But overall, 200, I really liked it. I hear a lot of people complaining, but I think they just didn't.
They probably
know what
thought
they
it
were
was going to be
expecting.
more. Let's call it exciting. I don't know what that means.
I mean,
because excitement's for isn't.
Also,
it's
that's
all
wild.
about. Yeah, that's someone's perception anyway. What is exciting? So who knows? You know, some people thought the wrestling was exciting, while some other people might probably preferred more striking.
Yeah, I think people just didn't expect the Aldo, Cormier, and Lesnar fights to go exactly the way the rest of the world thought they would go.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I thought the card was great overall, and I'm actually excited to go through and watch the rest of it. And like I said before, I suggest checking out the stream that Shayna Baszler did on her Twitch/QOS. No, QO Spades. QO Spades. Check that out. It's her and Jess Duke just playing the UFC game and talking shit, and it's a lot of fun. So, alright, let's go ahead and real quick jump into this card that we just watched, McDonald Lineker, UFC Fight Night 91. Man, there were some pretty wild fights on this card. A lot of finishes, looking over this.
Yeah, I know I was on my way here and missed based about the first 4 fights.
Yeah, you missed...
You can. I'll let you obviously talk about what were your favorite on the first 4. I mean, since I did
the Hani Yaya fight was pretty fucking scrappy. It was basically just a lot of wild wrestling and grappling exchanges. But eventually, at the very end, Hani Yaya was able to lock in the arm triangle choke. But man, there was some tough. They were both in some tough spots in the beginning of that, so that was pretty interesting. Let's see. Scott Holtzman and Cody Pfister was another really, really scrappy fight. Cody Pfister was eating a lot of big shots, but was still coming back pretty strong. But Holtzman was able to put it on him late and just get the decision. Courtney Casey won by elbows in the first. She just mauled up this girl. It was, from what I remember, so this is one of the ones I actually was in the middle of doing some shit. So, but it was, from what I remember, it was just a wild fight where she just came after her and threw heat. And got the finish early with elbows. Oh no, you know what? She ended up in top in mount, and then just pounded her out for like most of that round up until she got the finish. It was a really early takedown, and she just basically mollywopped her for the rest of it. Sam Alvey, one of my favorites, totally fucked up my picks on the MMA community thread. Monsters Picks, I believe is the name of it.
What was this? He won by submission, and that was only his
yeah,
third
who
time
the fuck
in his
ever
career?
thought he was going to finish by submission?
He had like 17 finishes by TKO or KO, and now 3 by submissions. That was kind of interesting. So,
Yeah.
sorry that you screwed up your...
I mean, to be fair, I like Sam Alvey a lot, and he looked great in that fight. He pieced the dude up early, and then was just able to grab the neck. Every Sam Alvey fight is crazy because that dude hits so fucking scary hard.
I was gonna say, shout out to his pretty entertaining post-fight interview that went like about 2 minutes long.
Yeah, where
basically
he's like,
called out all of Europe.
Yeah, he called out all of Europe. He called Dan Henderson 60. He said he's going to take the belt from Michael Bisping. And then he said Sam Alvey, after Dan Henderson holds the belt for a while. I don't even know what that means. There's my phone. I don't even know what that means, but evidently he thinks Dan Henderson.
Oh no, dude! This is what he said, and I wasn't sure if Alvey's just trolling or maybe he has a little head trauma, but he was like, "Oh, Dan Henderson's gonna hold the belt and be the longest reigning middleweight ever." I'm like, "Yeah, more longer than Silva. Let's see that."
Oh, and then he said, and then when he's 60, I'm gonna take the belt from him.
That's what he said. Yeah. So I get it.
It was a weird manic. He started listing off shit. He's like, I want to fight Dan Henderson, but if I can't fight Dan Henderson, I'll fight all of Europe. So anyone in Europe you want to fight, let's fight. Which is a crazy call out. That dude's just a wild man, and I don't know, it's always fun seeing him fight. Up next, Caitlin Chukagian,
yeah.
Yeah, I always fuck that up. Against Lauren Murphy, really close fight. Chukagian took the first round mainly off of just being able to stay on the outside and land some pretty good jabs against Lauren Murphy. Lauren Murphy took... I mixed those up. Lauren Murphy took the first round with a lot of top control. Chukagian took the second with being able to stay on the outside, and the third round was really close. Chukagian was getting a little bit better at the exchanges, was able to stay on the outside, landed a bit of the straighter punches. Lauren Murphy almost got a takedown around I think it was the 2 minute mark, or maybe around the minute mark, like 1:30 or so maybe. But wasn't able to finish it, and then Chukagian separated and was able to throw a couple more big strikes. Really close fight, but I agree with the decision. I thought it definitely went against Lauren Murphy, unfortunately, even though I did have her as one of my picks in that MMA community thread. All right. Up next, Louis Smolka, Ben Nguyen. When is Louis Smolka not in a fucking crazy wild scramble of a fight?
Yeah, that was entertaining. Shout out to Ben Nguyen, Ben 10. He looked really good with his... I don't want to say escapes. He looked good on the ground with it. What he was escape from his transitions.
Dude, yeah,
he had some good top control for a little bit. I think
too.
Early on.
Good striking early too. Put the pressure on him early.
Yeah, this is an impressive fight. So I mean, Smolka did what he had to do. Once he kind of finally, at one point, he was just basically just having his way with Nguyen, just kind of throwing him around.
Yeah, you could see Ben starting to gas because he just was putting too much pressure on him.
Especially when he got hit in the nose.
Was winning all the exchanges.
He started leaking pretty bad too. So
yeah, and then he just started gassing, and Louis Smolka just started pushing the pace and putting it on him. I thought this fight was going to go to decision. Was my official pick on the MMA community thread. Monsters picks, I believe, but I did have Louis Smolka taking it. Just after seeing that Paddy Houlihan fight and the way he won every exchange and always ended up on top, or if he was on top, he ended up in a position where he could try to hit a submission and get to top. It was just the exact same thing in this fight. He just always ended up on top. He always won the scramble. Even when he lost the scramble, he put himself in a position where he could sweep and get top control. He threw a ton of chokes on that in like stuff that I thought was for sure deep, and he just kept bailing out of it. It looks like he was just trying to gas Ben Nguyen. And you did say Ben Nguyen is real active on Reddit, right?
I believe, yeah. I'm pretty sure he's actually on Reddit, as is, Sam Alvey, and as is, I know Shane Carwin has what they call a lot of shit posts, but he's a funny guy.
Right. Yeah, he's been on the underground for a long time.
Dennis the Menace Bermudez has now been pretty active on there.
Oh, nice.
Which is cool.
Yeah,
so.
It's always cool seeing fighters getting on the forums and talking shit with everybody. So, yeah, that was a pretty wild fight. Same with this next fight. Nakamura versus, or Kaida. Kieta?
Kyle-
Kieta? I think it's Kieta.
Yeah, Nakamura, and then Kyle Noke. I think
Kyle Noke.
Noke? Okay.
Yeah, Kyle Noke, the Australian.
Okay.
Man, that was a fucking wild fight.
Especially the way it ended.
Kyle Noke hit him with a really hard jab right out the gate. I think it was the first punch of the fight. Just wobbled him with a jab right out the gate. And then it was just a lot of Kyle Noke landing super stiff long punches, and then Nakamura landing a wild hook here and there. The first round, I thought Noke was going to be able to shut it down. He was looking really sharp. And then just slowly but surely, Nakamura started picking up the pace. Did he land a couple head kicks in that fight against Kyle Noke?
Yeah, because that's how he got him to stumble. I think that's how he got him on the ground.
I think so, too.
Or at least that's how he ended up getting his back, which
Right.
led to a crazy finish, or I should say intense finish, really, with just a race against the clock.
Yep.
That was kind of nuts.
Yeah, he literally hit that sub at 4:59 in the second
Yeah.
round. Because Kyle Noke, he finished and Kyle Noke almost tapped, and then he sat there like an extra 2 seconds and then tapped, and the bell rang like on the second tap. It was, oh man, it was a wild fight. A lot of these were just super scrappy like this.
Yeah, especially this heavyweight fight, Polish fighter Daniel Omielanchuk.
Yeah.
I probably said that wrong first.
Omielanchuk, you basically had it right.
And then the Russian guy Alexei Olenek, who was his 60th fight. The guy definitely looked like he's weathered the storm. He's a scrappy guy, though.
Yeah, he's been around forever, and he's definitely a scrappy dude. This is the classic why I don't like heavyweight kind of fight, just because, man, there's a lot of just dudes gassing and dying slowly by, like, just attrition
And
punches.
getting laid on for, like, a whole round.
Just getting laid on and smashed in the face with tiny punches that are, since they're heavyweights, they just do constant crazy damage. Fuck, I could say this earlier. Alexei Olenek. I'm gonna fuck that up forever.
I'll just say Olenek. I don't know.
I know that's wrong.
That's probably definitely.
But anyway, that Russian motherfucker, it started looking like death right around halfway through the second round. And by the third round, he was just so beat up and so gassed. He really couldn't put much else together. I'm surprised he didn't get stopped towards the end. It was really close. But Kevin McDonald let it go. And, Omielanchuk got the decision. It was a little back and forth in the beginning. But towards the end, Omielanchuk was just throwing heat at his face, on the feet and on the ground.
I kind of thought it was going to be a finish for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I thought so too, a couple times in that fight, but ended up going the distance. Tim Bosch, Jessamyn, that's another weird fight. Jessamyn started off strong.
Yeah, the first round looked pretty even, and then all of round two was just Boach, just pure domination. Just
kept putting the pressure on, and then Tim Bosch throws so fucking hard that when he lands, it's just all
that
downhill.
guy. I never actually knew he was a middleweight. I thought he was a light heavy the whole time, just the way he looks.
Yeah, he does. Oh, yeah, and he also is. I think he lost to Dan Henderson recently, right? I think he was the one that got H-bombed recently.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
But yeah, Tim Bosch, I mean, he just did what Tim Bosch does. He just outlasted and then threw enough crazy fucking power punches to eventually catch one. Jessamyn's eye looked like shit after this fight. It was really ugly. And yeah, it was just another just kind of scrappy, wild fight. Classic Tim Bosch. We're coming to my favorite two fights on the card, which, how could they not be? These were fucking wild fights. Actually, Luis Smolka Ben Lin might be above one of these, but
I'd say above the main.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But this Tony Ferguson, Landon Venata fight, let's look into Landon Venata and see what the fuck he's done. Because this kid's head movement is great. He is coming out of a bunch of fucking promotions I haven't heard of. Well, that's not true. He fought in Pancrase against Nakai. He fought in RFA against Chad Curry. And those XFC against JP Reese. I have not heard of Kamikaze or NP or TSE. But holy shit, this kid's really sharp on the striking side of things. really fucking sharp.
Yeah, and some of those exchanges, I'm not going to say he made, Ferguson look dumb, because he probably didn't make him look dumb, but he definitely was winning some, especially in the first round.
Ferguson was whiffing a lot, and I kind of expected that since Tony's been out for a bit.
Yeah.
Off the injury. Like, he hasn't even fought this year, which is pretty rare for him, because he normally fights pretty regularly. And he was whiffing a lot, but I thought he was doing all right. He was landing a couple decent jabs. And then he got caught with that spinning back fist, and everything changed. He got caught with that wild spinning back fist, and then, what's his face? Venata just started picking up the pace and really putting it on Tony, landing a lot of just wild shit. They're both just throwing crazy shit, a lot of just spinning shit and elbows, and both of them just going back and forth a ton. And then Venata lands this death head kick on Tony Ferguson as he's leaning into
That's
it.
when I thought, like, oh shit, is he going to finish Ferguson? And then Ferguson showed a lot of composure. And
Somehow he survived that shit.
Because he grabbed his legs. He kind of brought him to the ground and went for a heel hook. That's what it was. That's what was kind of holding on for
basically
life.
tied him up. Tony Ferguson ate maybe 3 head kicks in this fight?
Yeah.
Fucking just clean, not blocked at all, to the dome head kicks and walked through them. He also ate at least 2 spinning back fists and a couple elbows. It was just a wild fucking fight. It was a barn burner. The whole first round, super back and forth. Mostly Tony getting pieced up. I mean, that first round 100% was Venata. Not quite 10-8, but holy shit did he have Ferguson in some trouble. At the end of that round, I didn't know if Tony was going to survive because Venata was just piecing him up. And then the second, same thing. They go back at it. Tony gets clipped a couple times, but really starts putting the pace on. And you can see Venata start gassing.
His boxing to his max, and he was really... And dude, I remember there was that Superman punch that Ferguson
off
just...
the cage.
And just Venata just shook it off like nothing. That was kind of like, wow.
He walked not only right into it, but then just kept walking like nothing happened.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like his head went back farther than you should be able to still stand.
Like, he basically got whiplash, looked at Ferguson and said, is that all you got? Just kept marching forward, so...
Exactly.
Yeah, that dude's got a lot of heart and he's tough, so holy shit.
Super tough. He's also, I believe, out of Jackson Winklejohn, which explains why, Jackson Wink, so explains why he's so fucking tough, because if you're a 145 or a Jackson Wink right now, you're training with BJ.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, shit, this guy looks small for lightweight. No
he's a 45 or fighting at 55 for this.
But damn.
He looked great, though. He looked fucking great. And then Tony eventually, Venata swayed his head right into a guillotine. Tony hit the guillotine. Venata was able to put his hand in, and then Tony just switched it right over to the Bravo. I don't know the difference between a Bravo and a Darce. It might be the same thing. A Bravo might just be a Mexican Darce, because I only see Mexican fighters list Bravos. But essentially, just locked on that Darce, was able to lock up the legs and get the finish. But man, that was a wild, scrappy fight, and just so much fun to watch. Tony Ferguson is never not in wild fights. Like, that motherfucker just comes to scrap. When he gets clipped, he just plants his feet and starts throwing heat back. So, it was a crazy, crazy fight. Alright, and last up, we had McDonald Lineker. I don't know what Lineker's special power is. I don't know where he got it from, but it clearly is the fact that whenever he hits someone clean on the chin, he just makes them rock'em sock'em robots back at him. Like, he just hits so hard that people panic and just throw everything.
I think what it was in this fight, I'll give McDonald credit. At first, initially, he did look pretty good standing up. He had a lot of good counters. He was a little bit elusive on the feet. He shot Lineker with shots, but the problem is Lineker's a tough son of a gun. He's got crazy power for someone who's 5'3".
Insane power.
Me and you were both saying, dude, go to the ground. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Go to the
I
ground.
figured you at least see him try to lock up, but like he got clipped with that one right to the jaw, and then from then on, it was just Michael McDonald.
That was the first. Yeah, that was the first time he got clipped.
Punches back.
Yeah, and he did clip Lineker a lot, but it didn't matter.
It doesn't matter if you clip Lineker.
Lineker was in kill mode.
If you've seen the Francisco Rivera fight, that's what, or any Lineker fight, that's just what he does. Is if you stand there and throw against him, you're gonna lose because he has a crazy chin and he just throws constant heat. And he looked great in this fight. I thought Michael McDonald was going to try and jump, even pull guard at some point, do something. But he just, every time he got clipped, he'd just plant his feet and try and throw harder. And it definitely, that never works against Lineker. And Lineker, once again, drags someone into a firefight and gets the early stoppage. which it actually doesn't even say on whatchamacallit right now. Oh, there it is.
'cause you had to refresh
TKO or KO punches round 1 at 243.
Yeah, his was just a straight. I think it was a left hook that caught him, and that's what basically dropped
Just
him. And then
bodied him.
Yeah.
There was a couple times in that fight where McDonald looked like he died. It was just so brutal. So brutal. So, great fight card overall, especially for a Wednesday night fight card in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. But man, I had a great time with it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and I'll just say, I'll just leave with the rest of this card. I think the fight to make for the state of the bantamweight division, I would do McDonald versus Sterling, because both of them are coming off losses. Why not? Throw that in there.
That's not bad.
And I would do Lineker Dodson just because they're both similar in stature, and they never actually did fight at 125, so why not? They both pretty similar in style. Dodson probably has more in the gas tank, but you know what? It'd be fun. I think that'd be a real fun fight.
Yeah, I like those matchups. The only thing I hesitate on is that Lineker and Dodson both coming up from 125. If they fight each other, it doesn't move either one of them anywhere in that division, the 135 division. So I would actually, what I really would like to see is Lineker or Dodson fight Caraway. But there's no way Caraway takes either of those fights. No, those are literally the worst matchups ever for him. I would love to see Caraway Lineker more than anything. Because I don't think Caraway wants any part of Dodson, because Dodson's a better wrestler and a better striker. Whereas with the Lineker, I feel like maybe Caraway thinks he could maybe take him down and gas him, maybe.
But yeah, that's the whole 135. I mean, we've talked about how crazy the 155 division is, but the men's 135 is insane. I would love to see Dominic Cruz go up to featherweight again for the first time since in like 10 years almost. That'd be kind of cool. Either way, we'll see what the UFC brass decides to do.
That's right, the new brass.
Yeah, the new brass. WME. I don't even know what their names are, but I'll look into it.
All I know is Ari Emanuel, the guy who's Ari Gold on Entourage, is a big player in it now, which he always kind of has been. They manage a lot of the fighters outside of the ring, like Ronda. I know they do all her movie and commercial deals and all that.
Hence, probably why she was in Entourage. Well, the movie,
exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what's coming up for all of that. I guess next we're gonna real quick jump into stuff that's coming up this weekend. There's not a lot of fights. I believe there's a Titan card coming up, but the main two things we're going to cover is we're going to take a very, very quick look at EBI 7 as well as the Chael Sonnen Submission Underground that's happening on Flow Combat. So we'll be right back and we're going to get into those. All right.
Way I will sum up this bar and in general, small town Ontario probably, is they had a vampire. Well, I mean, it's supposed to be Dracula. It's got like the ribboned amulet and stuff like that right out of the early horror films and stuff like that. So it's supposed to be a mini Dracula, and he's like holding up a tray. And my girl asked if I'd pose with it, so I posed with it for a second. And we're the only two people in this bar at this. By the way, it closes at 10. Last call was like 9:45 p.m. What? Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like it was straight up the woods, just the sticks. So I posed with this thing, and the super sweetheart middle-aged bartender / server / everything lady. Shout outs to Big Linda. Love you, Linda. Linda sees me posing with Monsieur Dracula. And goes, hey, if you're taking pictures, there's a big Indian fella on the other side of the room. And I look over, and there's just a giant, super racist, hand-carved, red-skinned First Nations dude standing on the other side. It's like 6'2", but had clearly been painted in such a fashion to really accentuate the backbone issue that people have with Daniel Snyder's football team.
There he is.
So that's the kind of bar we were dealing with here. Anyway, if you're ever in North Bay, Ontario, Callander, shout out to Lulu's. It's your only option unless you want to go drink at a Legion Hall with a bunch of 80-year-old dudes with prosthetics blowing the last of their retirement savings in a video lottery terminal. Real Canadian.
All right, we are back. We are jumping right into. I want to take a quick look at EBI 7 since that's coming up on Saturday. I love the EBI cards. I never really got into watching a lot of jiu-jitsu, especially gi matches, because they're just so slow. And I just have trouble following all the point advantages with grips and all that shit. It's just real slow to watch. That's why I love EBI's format. Also, a bunch of recognizable guys, including the fact that there's a ton of 10th Planet San Diego guys, always makes it dope for us down here in San Diego. So, I'm pretty excited for this card, though. Have you ever seen any of the EBI cards?
I never have, and that's why I'll be I know I'll try to not drag this on too long, but I know how much knowledge you have about this stuff, how much knowledge I don't have about the EBIs, but I was going to ask... are there weight classes with some of these, or is it okay? So
this one is specifically, I believe, the welterweight.
And what do they consider that for?
Featherweight. Sorry, 45.
Okay.
Eddie just always uses MMA weight classes, and yeah. So this is the featherweight division. Eddie Cummings is the current champ. He's out of Renzo Gracie's academy. He, you know Eddie Cummings. You heard that name, right?
I believe so.
I believe Cummings has fought a couple times, I believe. Am I wrong in that? I'm pretty sure he has, hasn't he? Eddie Cummings. If he hasn't, he's done a shitload of jiu-jitsu. I guess he hasn't. Huh. I know he's been in a ton of... Oh, you know what? There's rumors that he wants to do MMA. But basically, Eddie is one of those beast grapplers. He trains with Gary Tonin and those guys. And he's just a motherfucker on the ground. Killer at leg locks. And he is going up against... There's like some murderers again. Barrett Yoshida's back. I think Denny Prokopos from 10th Planet San Francisco is there, but his name is crossed out on the website, so I don't know what that means. Gio Martinez of 10th Planet San Diego. The fucking freak show down here. You know anything about the freak show?
I'm not gonna say, man. I'm going to this thing blind.
So what it is 10th Planet San Diego, which you know 10th Planet, it's Eddie Bravo's basically system or whatever, right? Okay. So they have a bunch of satellite schools in each city, and San Diego is one of them. One of the big ones specifically. That San Francisco, Portland. There's a couple others, and Gio Martinez and his brother Boogie Martinez. I think it's. Oh man, I was Richie Martinez and Gio Martinez. They were former breakdancers.
Oh wow!
And they started doing jiu-jitsu under Eddie, and Eddie was like, "Holy shit, you guys are like!" They immediately started advancing belts because they were just so good on the ground because they're so used to being in weird, crazy positions from breakdancing. So these guys are just nasty on the ground, and they call themselves the Freak Show because that was their old, I don't know, B-boy crew or whatever the fuck it is in breakdancing. But yeah, they're just wild men. They all have crazy Eddie Bravo style rash guards and shit, and they're just huge beards and hilarious. Or I should say Richie has a huge beard. But Gio's back. Gio actually won the first, I believe, Eddie Bravo Invitational way back a couple years ago. Some other guys on here. There's a Marcelo Garcia guy, Mickey Main. Actually, your cousin that we talked to at UFC 200 trains under Marcelo, right?
Yeah. Shout out to my cousin. His name is Jordan. I just call my cousin just easier that way. But either way, yeah, he's been. The only time I've seen him train there, because he took me there. This was 5 years ago. Yeah, January 2011 when I was. He lives in New York, I know he works in New York City. I think he lives in Hoboken. But either way, he trains still to this day at Marcelo Garcia. I know he was talking to you about a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, he just kept name dropping all the like Gary Tonin and everybody and talking about EBI. He is. I mean, if you're training under Marcelo Garcia, I'm already super terrified of you because you are a motherfucker on the ground. And yeah, he was talking to me a bunch actually about just different people he's trained with and how hyped he is about all the leg lock guys, all the Donahers students. But yeah, so there's a couple actually Marcelo Garcia guys on here, Mike Davila too. And man, I'm just excited to see a lot of this card. I would suggest actually maybe going through and watching some of EBI 1.
Because I was going to say, is EBI, I know you can watch on Fight Pass,
Yep,
right?
they're all on Fight Pass. I believe they're on YouTube
will
also.
this be on Fight Pass this weekend?
Yeah, it's streamed live on Fight Pass.
Okay,
on
I should be able to
Saturday.
watch it because I'll be out of town. I'll be kind of in...
That's right, you're going to be in Julian, right?
Julian, yeah, so it's kind of a little difficult sometimes to...
That's right, I talked Chris into getting me apple pie cider and Julian apple pie while he's up there, so I'm pretty hyped on that. Maybe we'll drink some apple pie cider on the next podcast or some shit.
I mean, yeah, when it comes to cider, Julian Hard Cider does it right. It's
pretty bomb. Also, one thing that's cool about 10th Planet is they have a bunch of young assassin chicks that compete as well. So Grace Gundrum is going to get up against Janelle. I'm not going to butcher your last name. Grace Gundrum is one of Eddie's favorite young just assassins. She's just a motherfucker on the ground. Also, Cora Sek, who's been a previous EBIs, and I'm excited to see. Those are always just the scrappiest matches, because these little, like, Grace Gundrum, I think is, I don't know, she's maybe like, she can't be 14 yet, maybe she's not 16, I'll tell you that much. She's super young, but there's assassins, and they go super hard the whole time. So I think the only rule for them is no leg locks, but they can do everything else. No leg locks and no reaps, I believe.
So that means she'll just be a complete beast, and
Oh, yeah, they're all just already crazy assassins on the ground. And some of those fights are some of the funnest ones to watch, because they just go so hard, and they put them, like, they get through some of the craziest positions just by heart, because they're just, like, young and don't give any fucks.
Say, if she's only, like, a kid still, basically, you should just teach her stand-up if she wants. Damn, she could, if you apply that to the...
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that card in general should be really cool. I would definitely recommend checking out some of EBI 1, since it's up on Fight Pass. And it's actually just a lot of fun to watch. And then, yeah, this should be, I think this is, when is it? Saturday at... Doesn't say anywhere. Thank you for never putting the time.
Yeah. For the time.
Yeah, but it's Saturday, so that should be a lot of fun. And the other submission tournament this weekend is the Flow Wrestling. Chael Sonnen Submission Underground. This card has changed like every week since forever. But the current card right now on the undercard, I don't really recognize a lot of these guys. I do see a 10th Planet Portland guy, which is pretty dope. Which makes sense since Nate Orchard's also on the card from 10th Planet Portland, owner of the Dead Orchard, or I should say creator of the Dead Orchard. But also, one interesting thing to check out on this card, Amanda Diggins in one of the female matches is from Straight Blast Gym, which is Connor's gym.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting to see exactly how her jiu-jitsu is. I've never heard of Liz Tracy, so I have no idea. But should be interesting to check out. Other than that, on the main card, there are a couple interesting matchups that I'm pretty excited about. Like I said, Nate Orchard's on the card, and I always like watching Nate Orchard. He hits some of the weirdest. He hits a triangle where both of your arms are in.
Oh, wow.
That's his classic move is the Dead Orchard. So, normally in a triangle you lock up one arm and the head.
Yeah, you kind of like trap your head to your...
He just gets both shoulders and just triangles the whole fucking thing like a beast. And it's just so nasty looking. And he's got a bunch of variations off that. So, that guy's always fun to watch. And he might actually be on that first EBI card. Jake Shields, Chris Lytle should be a blast. I figure Jake Shields will take this just because he's such a motherfucker on the ground. But who knows? That should be a lot of fun and super, super scrappy. Chris Lytle is super underrated. Fabiano Scherner is taking on Rico Rodriguez, both former UFC fighters. And it'll be interesting to see what Rico looks like. I haven't seen Rico compete in fucking forever.
Yeah, I was saying the only time I saw that dude fight was like, what, 15, almost 20 years ago?
Yeah,
maybe not 20 years ago, but at least 10 to 15 years ago.
Yeah, probably about that. Yeah, 10 to 15. Back when he had the belt like forever ago, fighting dudes like Tim Sylvia.
Yeah, I think that was back in 2000, 2001.
Yeah, something like that. That should be... I'd be interested to see how Rico Rodriguez looks. There's rumors of that dude fluctuating in weight pretty hard since forever, so it'll be interesting to see how he shows up. And then Hani Marks taking on Vinny Magoyesh. That fight is going to be... Or that match is going to be super wild. Vinny's pretty well renowned as like one of the best black belts on the planet. He's just such a motherfucker on the ground. And he's a head jiu-jitsu coach for somewhere, I forget where. And Hani Marks has been around forever. Another super nasty guy on the ground. So that should be a hell of a matchup. I'm probably going to go through what the fuck is under the bonus content. Oh, bonus content's just the JRE where Chael talks about it. Okay, sure. Like I said, I'm probably going to end up getting subscribing to Flow for a month just so I can check this out and see what all they have on there. So I'll have a report back on that next week, just out of curiosity, because, man, I haven't heard many people talking about it, and I'm just curious enough to spend $15 to figure it out. So we'll be back with that. Is there anything else you wanted to cover before we close out?
No, not at the moment, man.
Cool. Well, so this next podcast, we're going to have an update. You'll have an update on Cheap Seats and Beatdown After the Bell.
Those are the two. Yeah.
I would say check out Beatdown After the Bell UFC 200, obviously, because that's a good one to check out. It's a big, long one where Jordan sits in and they talk about all kinds of shit. So that should be fun. Also, I'd say check out the Cheap Seats from today, because that one was fucking hilarious, even though it had zero to do with MMA. And then, yeah, we're going to have the Flow, whatever it is, Submission Underground tournament results and all that stuff next week. And, yeah, I guess that's about it. So, till next time, everybody, go do something decadent. We out. Bye.